naitwa Samka Mutinda. Samka is our surname. It's what we are building. And I was born in 28th October 1990. Though my ID reads 1992, but I was born in 1990. So we have been up and down, both in the city and in the village. And when my parents shifted to the village, life was unbearable. So my mother decided to come back to Nairobi. Then I was the first one to be called back to Nairobi by my parents. So when I came, I was this son that is being raised alone. And as I was being raised alone, so I became yule kijana mwenye ameelewa peke yake. Then wengine walipokuja Nairobi tukakuwa hatusikizani. So tukawa kwa kuvutana, tusikizani na my brother, my sister, ikakuwa ni vita every now and then. So in the process of time, I began moving in and out of our home. I was all the time running away. It's not very committed to family issues. So in the process of time, nilijipata nimekuwa chokora, kaanza kutafuta the means of how to live. So life was unbearable in the streets, and it was not easy at all. We used to survive on little things that we could get. Tungeenda tuokote chuma, ma plastic, tuende tuuze, we get the little shillings that tungepata, then we went for video. I remember of a certain, it was a place where we used to go, and we used to be provided food. With food, then after tumepewa chakula, tungepelekwa kwa darasa tusome. Personally, I liked studies because my dad had influenced us so much.
Nashukuru alikuwa kama mimi, hata mimi nilikuwa mzuri. Alikuja akafanya mtihani akafanya vizuri. Isipokuwa tu kuwa na uwezo, alikuwa amechukuliwa angeenda uni, lakini ameng'ang'ana na maisha yake.
I used to be on and off at home. A time came tukasomea shule ilikuwa inaitwa Charity Student Center. Nimesomea ingine ilikuwa inaitwa Wamomo Rehabilitation Center. Then later on, ikiwa class 6, I joined the Kayole Primary School. So in the same school, that's where sasa tukapata nguvu zaidi ya kuanza kufanya maovu. We were not good boys in school, and we became rude, and in the process of time, it became our norm. It became our daily routine. Most of the times we could be just going to class and in and out. Then nikaenda secondary school in, it's called St. Justino. St. Justino iko Soweto. So in Soweto nikasoma all the way to Form 2. Then some incidences that I'm going to explain to us happened, and I had to leave. I went to Kayole Twilight Secondary School, kwa hapo Kayole. So my story begins in class 4. That's when things began to change. In class 4, we went to bury my auntie. And during the burial, I was introduced to smoking weed by my uncle. I was just sent, I was told to go, bring for us the matchstick, the kiberiti. Then I went and brought it to him. Then when they lighted their bangi, I was given something to smoke. So I began, and it became my routine. Whenever he went away, he could call me that twende kwa bush tuvute na turudi. Then I came to Nairobi, the same young men tukaanza kuvuta bangi na wao. By class 6, nikajipata nimeanza kutengeneza, inaitwa tu slim, tu bangi twa kuvuta sasa tudogo, nikaanza kuziuza. So in Matopeni mali nilikuwa nikiishi, nimeuza bangi huko. Then a time came, our mom connected us with a certain lady. She was importing bangi kutoka Tanzania. So she used to bring bangi to us and we could supply. We stopped selling to small hizo to slim, tukaanza kuuza inaitwa stone, ile kubwa. So we could supply the peddlers with the same. Then tukauza bangi, tukiuza maji all the way mpaka class form 1. By form 1 biashara ya bangi kaisha because the lady was arrested while she was coming from Tanzania. She was arrested and we did not know how it went with her. So in form 2 I became addicted. Ikakuwa even in class I could not concentrate kama sijavuta bangi asubuhi. Ikakuwa my daily routine. Then one of my teachers noticed that something was not going on well with me. His name is Mr. Olango. He called me and he told me, Samka, of late things are not moving well with you. Then I was not ready to open to him. Up to today, he's my good friend. He runs a school by the name Brownhill Secondary School. So during those days, maybe I'll just mention few incidences that have been involved in crime. Like in St. Justino, I was severely suspended because of some few issues with teachers. Then one of the incidents that we had in the school, we came with the deputy teacher together walking in the morning around 6:30. Then when we entered the class, he found in the class that people were making noise. So in the process of time, he said, now guys, because you were making noise today, I'm going to punish every one of you. So when it reached my time to be punished, I stood before him and I told him, Mwalimu, but we have come with you walking and talking, so I should not be part of the people that are being punished. So he told me, he just asked me, are you taking or not? So because I was still a bit rude and I did not care much about honoring or respecting the teachers, I just told him not taking. After telling him not taking, he got furious because the guys who were behind me, there were 4 of them, they said, no, we are not also taking. So we refused to be beaten and we were suspended. This day, after being suspended, we did not go home. We went to one guy's house, and in this house, we just, because I used to carry weed wherever I was, I just had my mind reserved. So this day we went with these 4 guys, we smoked the weed, and all of a sudden, an idea came that, guys, we must punish this teacher. I was, by that time, the environment prefect. I was in charge of the environment and games. Then among the 5 that we were, one of them was in charge of the library. So we planned an incident and we said now, because the school had just brought in some laptops in the school, so we said we are going to steal these laptops. Is not actually to benefit us, but to teach a lesson to the teacher. We were just angry with him and we wanted that maybe during his time, during his management, that's when these things happened. So we planned the whole incident. It was on a Wednesday evening. So we said now is the day to go away with these laptops. So this day, one of the guys, at the kitchen, we had the sink. So I was to hide in one of the sink and the other guy hid in the other sink. Then the three remained in the toilet behind the school. So generally we had mastered the movements of the watchman. So we said, because after the students have left, they used to leave at around 8 at night, they go home. So we mastered his movements. We knew that the first thing that he does is to close the main gate, then he comes to close the other gates. He was an elderly man and we knew him, he was our friend. So we said we are not going to harm him, we'll just put him in a sack, tie him and leave him there. Within 15 minutes we had planned to open all the offices and go with the laptops. But this day there are many. One of them alichimbwa mkono, inside nyama ikatoka. Up to today he has that scar. And the other ones walikatwa juu ya kupandia mabati hivi. But from that day was the beginning of my turnaround, because after this incident I could not remain in school looking at the mabati. I could see kuna damu vile watu walikatakatwa, mwingine kuna nyama ilibaki kwa, so it became something that tormented our mind, because kuona damu yenyu maliko, I could not concentrate in school. Then after the incident we were just quiet. Nobody knew until we began to tell them later, after we have finished school. That's when I opened up and I told the teachers, guys, we are the ones who did this. So it remained a secret for a long time. We are the ones who wanted to rob. So from that time, it was like death started pursuing me. I was again suspended. I was suspended for just misconduct. I pushed mwalimu and it was not a good incident. I refused to be punished. Then I was suspended and I went home. After going home, I was so furious. Nikaenda with my gang, wale vijana tulikuwa tunavuta nao huku matopeni. I provided the stone for them, wakavuta. Na that night was another major incident that followed me. This night it happens that we smoked up to around 11 p.m. Then after smoking, the area had not yet been connected with electricity. So nikatoka nje going home. We had smoked from morning mpaka jioni. Then when I was going home, I met some 5 young men. Wakanimulika na torch, wakaniambia, kijana kaa chini, unaitwa nani? Then I went down south on the rocks and these guys were like, we want to know who you are. Then looking at their heights, nikaona they were a bit short and our nation does not employ short policemen. So in my mind it clicked very fast, guys. Here, these are not true policemen. So I stood up na nikauliza, maboy, munadai aje? Upon asking them, I discovered some faces that I knew who they were. Then standing up, one of them said, kata fala atatuseti. So moja akatoa panga. Then alipotoa panga, nikastukia nimempiga. I don't know where that braveness came, but I just knocked him. We fell down with him and got hold of him. By those days I was subscribing to the doctrine of the Rastafarian movement, and according to the way we were doing things was like, we should not scream to a thief so that somebody can be killed. You can call him and discipline him and walk with him. So I did not scream. I got hold of him, and I remember I mentioned the names of one of our guys that we were smoking with. Was called Django. So I called Django, Django, Django 3 times. Upon calling him, nobody was coming out. So these guys, when they saw I got hold of one of their own, they ran away. And when I called and there was no one responding, they came back. They hit me with the panga at my thighs. Then I fell down. Then they ran away. When they were running away, one elderly man was coming back home. So when he saw them running, he screamed. And I began walking by the walls, heading to our home. So when he screamed, the people thought I am the one who was stealing.
Alituacha hapa, akateremka hapa chini kwa vijana wengine. Sijui alikuwa anavuta bangi, sijui alikuwa anafanya nini. Sasa kabla tujalala nikasikia nduru. Sasa mimi nikaacha mamake. Nikatoka kwa nyumba. Kwenda kuteremka pale chini kuna kanjia kanateremkea pale hivi. Sasa nikamwona anakuja kama anachuchuma hivi, anashika ukuta, anashikilia ukuta. Nikajaribu kumsaidia, ni kama nambeba sasa. Nikamkimbiza mara moja, nikaja nikamleta kwa nyumba. Ikawa waza watu wanamfuata wengi sana. Sasa nimemficha, nikashindwa vile nitamficha. Nikaona akiingia chini ya kitanda, nikaona hapana. Sasa mamake alikuwa anasikia vibaya, kuna madawa ambayo alikuwa amemeza. Sasa yale makaratasi yalikuwa hapo chini. Kijana kamwambia lala hapa kwa sofa set. Na in case kama jamaa atakuja, nitawaambia wewe ni mgonjwa na umemeza madawa. Tukafaulu. Sasa kule kufaulu kwa bahati mbaya, wale watu wakaenda. Kitambo aende mamake na akafanya blanda, akamwambia hapana, ukipata kwa nyumba utagongwa. Sasa ndio jamaa akatokezea. Kule kutoka nje, sasa ukawa kuna mmoja ambaye alikuwa amepanda kwa ukuta pale. Akamuona. Tumemwona, kujeni tena, wakajaa tena. Siku hiyo niliona kitu, hata ndio nilimwambia siku hiyo kama umepona enda kanisani. Nakwambia watu walikuja hivi. Sorry kwa kusema hivyo, ilikuwa ni grupu ya Mungiki. Walikuja wengine wanapanga, wengine na mavitu mabaya. Sasa walipokuja wakasema nataka kumuua. Mpaka leo sijajua walikuwa wanamuulia nini. Na walikuwa watu wengi. Ikawa huku kote kuna nduru. Hapa sio mbali, ni hapa nyuma. Sasa ikawa namkata, wanataka kumkata, mama mwingine anakuja anasaidia na shika, ikawa ni frungumana hapo, tukasaidiana hivyo. Mimi nikaona sasa mtoto wangu hawezi kufa kikondoo. Na mimi nikachukua kisu hii ya kitunguu. Nataka kudunga moja, nikashikwa mkono. Nikaonyeshwa kapistu hapa. Nikamwambia wewe tulia mzee, tulia. Sasa kutoka hapo sasa ndio wakamchukua. Wakasema nataka kumpeleka na huko chini, kwa mto huko chini. Sasa mzee mwingine akaja akaniambia sasa jamaa nataka kwenda kumuulia huko chini. Vile utafanya enda uite mzee mwingine, alikuwa anaitwa mzee Makovu. Huyo ni mzee nafikiri anaweza kumrespect. Sasa mzee ndiye alimulalia hivi akasema hapana, msimkate. Akalalia hivi sasa akazungumza ndani ndio akamwacha. Toka siku hiyo nikamwambia huyu kijana wangu, hapo umeponea jamaa. Jaribu wezavyo ingia kanisani. Wewe umerudishwa hapa na Mungu tu ndiye ameturudishia wewe.
That's when I received my call into now God calling me to himself. Actually got beaten to an extent that I felt like I'm losing my life. Then I prayed and I told God, if for sure Jesus is there, let him forgive me and receive me as I am. So previously I was not subscribing to the preachings or I was not this person that really wanted to hear about Jesus. So this day I found myself calling on Jesus and saying, hey, if Jesus is there, I was not even sure, God, if Jesus is there, then let him forgive me and take me home safely. So upon my mind, the time that I made this prayer, I remember I saw a panga being thrown towards my head. Then a certain lady intercepted it, but within it, it was like light to me. It was like a voice saying, make a covenant with me. So I told God, if this is you, then I will serve you forever. I'm going to subscribe to Jesus. It was not easy. I was born again, 2 years in church, still smoking the weed. It was my wish that I don't like smoking, but I found myself now and then just not possible. It was not possible for me to stop smoking. So I was losing my mind that time. I actually say that the mind I'm having now is a new mind that the Lord has given me. After the incident of being followed by the Mungikis and I'm hiding at City Stadium, it was on 31st. There was a crossover at City Stadium. So deep within my thoughts, there was this preaching that I was always hearing, that of the rapture. Then on 31st, I'm outside and I was still smoking my weed. I'm outside and I'm seeing Makongeni, there are no people, very few people that you can see. So because of the fear, already I'd heard God tell me, I need you in my vineyard. But I was still not yet ready to commit my life to Him. So this day, I feared the rapture. It was like, there are no people. It seems like Jesus Christ has come, and now because He has come, He has already taken His people. So I was worried the whole day, from morning to evening. So at around 9, while I was still busy moving around, trying to see whether I will find people, I heard the voice of trumpets in the stadium. So I ran towards the stadium. I said, now this is the last trumpet and the people are gathering in the stadium so that Jesus can come and pick the remnants. So I got in, I was busy there. I told the ushers I want to be born again. They told me, no, wait until the pastor stands and preach. I became violent. I told them I want to be born again. And they were telling me, you wait until the pastor stands on the pulpit to preach. So I became violent until they called a certain guy. I was well dressed. I was not under any influence. So the guy came, was a bit muscular and strong. He told me, young man, if you try to disturb us again, I'll kick you out. So I said, let me wait until I give my life to Jesus. So the preacher stood, preached, and he called for people to be born again. If you know City Stadium, there are terraces there where people sit. I jumped on top of people running towards the place where the pastor was standing. I was the first one lifting my hands and saying, I want to be born again. Then I received Christ, but after that I still struggled so much in my walk. Then in 2012, while I was in South Sudan, there was a class that was on in church. They were teaching about faith, and I discovered I had not yet given my life to Jesus because that one was influenced by fear. But this time around, somebody has taught, and I've seen this is faith now. So I had now to surrender my life to Christ by faith. And from that time, I've been serving God up to this day. I'm still in the ministry serving. For several months, I was not going to school. So I was busy doing the garbage collection, and we used to work from 2 p.m. the whole day, then rest at around 8. From 8 to midnight, it was the time ya kuvuta tu bangi, mvute bangi mpaka sasa saa 6. Baada ya saa 6 mtoke mwanze kuteremsha zile takataka kwa mto. So the next day tungechukua the vitu zile, tungetoa plastic, chuma zote tuende tukaziuze. So on the way tukienda kuuza hizi plastic, I was the one pulling the mkokoteni. So nikaona kwa ukuta imeandikwa Kayole Twilight Secondary School admission from 1 to form 4. So I stopped, and they were busy telling me, "Hey, si tuende." it clicked in my mind immediately kwamba I was a student. So I left the mkokoteni, just dressed in the takataka clothes. Then I left, they went with the mkokoteni. I got into the school, I found the bursar, and I told him, bursar, I want to start to join school. And he told me, you go and come on Monday. But I felt like, no, I need to go back to school. So the next day I came, and I went, took my brother's uniform, and I started learning there. So it was from just the same bangi. I remembered you were a student before. So I went to school, I studied very hard. I made sure kwamba I have to recover the days that I've missed. And by the help of God, nilitoka hiyo shule nikiwa the top student after not being in school for a long time. So I used to study from 5 in the morning up to 7. The school was not very serious with their studies, though the management had begun changing things. I performed, I got a B-, and after getting the B-, I applied to study at the KU, though I did not have the finances to study, so I had to drop. And I did not go to school. I dropped the idea of going to school, and I went for business in South Sudan. That was back in 2011. So previously I've worked with gangs, and I've had a team of over 18 people. And by the grace of God, I'm the only one who has remained alive up to today. And the Lord has been with me. So in 2011, I went to Sudan, did some business. I came back to Kenya in 2014, where I became a pastor at PEFA, Kayole. I've served there for the last 5 years. Currently, I'm involved with working with the young people. I'm trying to do sports evangelism. I work with them one-on-one, mentoring them and showing them the way to live life away from crime, and also show them the disadvantages. If you can look at my face, I have some scars on my face, and if you can come and touch here, my head was also beaten. I have mabonde kwa kichwa. I have many scars in my body through the beating that I received from the mob.
I went into drugs through a friend. Kuna young guy alikuwa anakuja kutuuzia maziwa, then for us we sell. Alikuwa anauza wholesale. So yeye akimaliza kazi yake ya kuuza jioni, if that time siko job, ananiambia tuende rege. Sasa nachukua miraa. Kutoka hapo ni club. Naenda, tunakunywa, tunashikisha. Tunajipata tunaingia kwa nyumba like saa 8, saa 9 usiku. By that time nilikuwa na stay huko tao. Mahali tumepewa just mahali pa kukaa na our boss. So now vile job ilisha, I had to relocate. Nikatoka town, nikakuja sasa Kayole. That is now 2014. Kama inaendelea kuisha. Niko na pesa, then niko na best huyo, niko natoka Kayole naenda town, tunajienjoy. Then nikitoka Kayole na kuja huku. So vile job ilisha, sina plan yote, niko na some money, nikaingia too much into drugs. For me nilikuwa kwa bangi na miraa, hiyo mgoka, then tuseme cigarette and alcohol. Kunywa maspirit, hizo manusu tulikuwa tunasikunywa sana. So nikaendelea for like hiyo mwaka ikienda kuisha, naendelea kusota, sina job, na sio tunasiti na my brother. In fact my brother naye alikuwa anauza hiyo mgoka hapo Tumiango stage. So tukaishi na yeye hapo. Yeye alikuwa now worst in bangi. For me I couldn't ningesema kubag, but ilikuwa inanifikisha mahali na yogopa because of the things that I could see na kufikiria mengi. That's the thing that probably made me to stop bangi. But other things like taking alcohol, cigarette na hizo kushikisha. I was too much into them. It is only through Samka that I came to completely reform and leave them. So after the end of 2014 ndio the end of 2014 ndio nilifika mahali nikaona I need to go to church. Nika figure out, nikaona kuna church fulani hapo. I went there, nikasema nataka kuokoka, though I'm just in drugs. Nikaombewa through the Reverend Pastor Samka. By then akakuja pia akasimama nyuma yangu, nikaopewa, things kaenda hivyo. So mimi nikikuja church niko somebody who is faithful, niko kanisani, yani nimesema nimekuja kwa kanisa, sitaki mchezo. Then after that back mahali nakaa tunaishi na brother yangu, yeye ni bangi na napta seriously, then anaweza mbuka. Then the plot we were staying ilikuwa tu na only vijana peke yake, na like tuseme ilikuwa ni plot inakaa watu kama 14. There was only one msee, tayari alikuwa kama sisi bachelor tu, the rest ni vijana walikuwa makanga na nini. So ilikuwa ikifika usiku kuna masaa ya kukaa hapo nje, bangi na loud, wanasema mali safi ende chain. Sasa ni kubadilishana, unaikunywa unaivuta, ikifika mahali wewe unajitoa unaenda unalala. It was the end of the day, tuseme hiyo place nilikuwa nakaa ilikuwa mbaya zaidi. So pastor came to realize that, and that how he helped me. Akaniambia there is no need kukaa huko, kuja tukae hapa, because anaona anataka kuwa church but the things that are still holding me back. Akaniita, nikakuja, tukaanza kustay naye hapo church where we were just come from. Tukakaa naye hiyo 2015, 2016, 2017. I thank God alinifunza a lot. To me I can say he is a brother, he is a father, he is a mentor. All those things he has really helped me with. Kama siko job and provide vitu kama hizo. Tumefanya biashara mingi na yeye. He has really touched my heart in very many ways. I thank God through him I got that opportunity na Kayole, Kenya Youth Employment Opportunity Project. I can remember I was just asleep, nikasikia mtu akiniuliza what are your full names, nikampatia. So he was just registering for me in that particular hub ya Kayole, na through that nikapata opportunity, tukaenda training, nikafanya for 6 months. At least they were giving us some little amount, 6K per month. Nikasoma, nikatrain, nikamaliza. And another good thing, my uncle na alikuwa anafanya mechanic, na mimi nikasema let me just pursue it there so that ikifika mwisho then I can also join in tufanye na yeye, and that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Up to today, most of them are still in smoking, but they say, you guy, you got the light, and that's what we need. There was some time back before I got busy with the business, I used to have sessions with them. Every Wednesday we could meet, they could listen to the gospel, and they tell us, when my time reaches for me to stop smoking, I will stop as you stopped. But meanwhile, give me the gospel. Let me just hear the gospel. I love God, I love the word, but when my time comes, I will leave smoking. So that's their response. Well, I've really tried. I tried so much to talk to them. One of them was shot in a place called Kona. It was called Munene. And another one was also burned by the mob justice. We tried to talk to them. We played football together. I tried to advise them, but they were deep in crime. They felt like there is no other way for life. So they continued in the same. So I tried to convince them very much. And up to date, I tried, as long as I see some people who are not moving well, I try to speak to them. Well, generally, young people need groups. Like the one we sat down in high school. There was no much, we were not poor. The reason as to why we wanted to rob the school. So it came as a result of us sitting down together and just thinking. The young people are innovative, they have minds that they use to think, and most of them kile ina contribute is when they are idle and they are not shown the direction, then it happens that they will think of their own things. They will try to build, like most of them who are involved in drug, they will build, and when they are not getting to where they are building, they will ending up in crime because they are not getting what they wanted. So generally in a company, bad company, as we have heard in this saying that bad company spoils the good morals. So generally wale wanaingia kwa crime because of company, and let's say a very little percentage gets into crime because they are poor. That is the reality. Most of them get into crime just for fun, to prove to their friends that yes, hata mimi ninaweza. So that peer influence has been one of the motivating factors, because kama mimi kuingia kwa crime, si pesa nilikosa. I was selling bangi na ilikuwa inanipea faida. For example, bangi nilikuwa nanunua at 150 na nikitoa natoa 80 slims, hiyo nimeuza 800. So I could do like 2 of them. I make such kind of money from bangi. So wengi wao ni hiyo peer influence, and if they are mentored, they can find solution for their lives. If they are just given direction, they are told them, okay guys, let's move this way, they will move. Personally, I have a movement that I'm working out on. I've called it Father's Heart. And in this movement, I'm working with the young people, and I'm trying to bring the leaders, the coach that we have in football, because there are some who are involved with these young boys. So I'm bringing them on board. Most of them, we have preached to them and they have come to Christ. They are no longer involved in such matters. So we are trying also to control. I'm using football, the sports evangelism, to at least try to mentor these young people. So we move to the pitch, and in this program, we are looking forward. I've gone to school, I've a bit seen some light. So the little that I have, I'm trying to offer to them. So we are trying to mentor them in the areas of their spiritualism, their mental capacity, their social life. We're also talking about their health. So we sit with them and talk to them and try to show them the areas that they can correct. So personally, I'm in the game of changing them.
Crime Sipwa ni shirika ambalo linafanya kazi na vijana kwenye mtaa, vijana wenye either wako kati ya crime, ama wale wenye kwa mienendo yao tunaona wako at risk ya kuingia kwa crime ama vulnerable. So kwa Crime Sipwa, kazi yenye si kufanya ni kuempower na kumentor hawa youth, ndio waweze kutoka kwa hiyo maisha ya crime, na si crime peke yake, pia wale wamejiingiza kwa kutumia mihadarati ama any other antisocial behavior. So tunataka kuingia, kumentor, kuwa empower, ndio waweze kuwa na behavior na attitude change. Yani waweze kuishi maisha yenye inaweza kuwa an example kwa jamii, na pia inaweza wasaidia kuwa watu muhimu katika hii jamii.
The other thing, this area that we are living in, Matopeni, Kayole, in the past we have heard that it was not a good environment, and the history outside there is not a good one. But one thing that I will say, that the young people are transforming. The young people are, as long as they have got something to do with their hands, they have begun being empowered. It's not easy to find that I've gone worked the whole day, I've come, I'm tired, then I think of, let me go and do this other job or the other. Generally, when somebody has worked, they need to rest. So I will say that these jobs that they are providing are good. They're offering a temporary solution, but the government needs to come on board. They need to come on board and do mentorship programs, especially pioneered towards the drugs, because this is the major cause of crime. When they get into drug addiction, like those days with the 18 guys that we used to work with, there were some things they are called tap, the small tablets that we used to swallow, and whenever you swallow them you feel like you are a bold man and you cannot run away from anyone. I remember one of our friends who was killed in Kawangware. They robbed in the supermarket, and after robbing, they had the watchman call on the policeman. So he was having an AK-47. So when he heard that they had called the policeman, he said, no, they have bunduki hata mimi niko na yangu, so let them come. So when they came, they began shooting. And that's where he died. He died in that crime. So it came as a result of this tap. They used to use them. So whenever you use them, you become so bold. You are not fearing anything. So it's good that the government gives a permanent solution. And not only the government, the people in the society, we need to come on board. The whole society na tujue kwamba we have a problem. We have a problem, and this problem we have to stand, and everyone must stand, including them that are involved in the crime, and they say we want help because we need to make our society a good society.
Kenya tunajaribu kufanya pia kama crime sipona, tunataka hata wengine wanaweza fikiria ni sasa tunakuja tukiongelesha tukiwaambia usiingie kwa crime haitakusaidia. Ndio maana unaona jina letu crime sipoa. Crime haitakusaidia, crime itakuletea tu madhara. Lakini kumwambia hivyo peke yake haimsaidii. Lazima kwanza kuwe hiyo attitude, aelewe kwa nini, alafu akishajua ni nini kingine anaweza fanya yenye inaweza msaidia apate hiyo hela yenye anatafuta yenye inamfanya aende kwa crime. So ndo tuko na wengine ya social enterprise yenye pia tunafanya economic empowerment. Ile tukijua sawa, tumejua shida ni nini? Shida ni hamna kazi, hamna jinsi ya kujimudu. Tunaweza kufunza na kukupatia skill yenye unaweza kuwa nayo, yenye unaweza tumia kutafuta hiyo hela. Kama ni ukiangalia tuna unit yenye tumeset ya tailoring. Kuja ujifunze kushona nguo, ukipenda pale tunakulink na wale wenye unaweza jua hawa unaweza saidika, ukienda kwa fulani anaweza kushonia nguo na unajipatia hiyo hela, unaweza jimudu at the end of the day. Wengine kama kwa ofisi yetu tuko na resource center Rongai, tumefungua hatchery. Ile tunafuga kuku na tunaweza ile kujifunza, unajua ukiendelea kufuga, ukiendelea kuuza, na tukiendelea kufunza wale vijana wenye tunafanya kazi nao kufanya hiyo kazi, hata yeye anajua, ndo anaweza pata jinsi ya kuanzisha hiyo biashara na anaweza kujimudu. So kwa tukiendelea kujua shida ni nini, shida sasa solution ni tunaweza saidianaje kupata hiyo linkage, kupata hiyo skill yenye unahitaji kupata kazi. Na pia kitu muhimu tumekuja kujua ni hatuwezi kuja na suluhisho inatoka pia kwa hao vijana. So tukiendelea kuongea na hao vijana, wanakuambia mimi naweza fanya hivi, tukisaidiana hivi tunapata. So that mkiwa na hiyo bottom up approach, mnaweza pata solutions inatoka kwao. Kwa saa zingine naweza kuja na solution yangu yenye haitasaidia hapo. So kwa na hiyo mazungumzo kati ya sisi na vijana, kujua shida yao ni nini, wakipewa wanaweza saidika, tunaweza sasa jua venye tunaweza ungana kama jamii na marafiki tukuje kusaidia hawa youth, cause wako na potential, ni venye tu opportunity hawana. Tunaweza patianaje hiyo opportunity ndio waweze kujimudu. Tuko na partners wengi wenye tuna work nao kwa community. Tumesema pia ukiangalia venye tumeongea, most of the work tunafanya pia tunahitaji maybe counseling. Unaweza pata mtu mwenye labda alikuwa kwa mihadarati na labda anataka kutoka, lakini ndio aweze kutoka si anahitaji rehabilitation ama therapy. So tuko na at least a volunteer counselors wenye wanatusaidia na hiyo kazi kuwa rehabilitate in that area. Na pia tuko na organizational partners, wale wenye tukiingia kwa mtaa ni wale wako maybe na reach kwa mtaa. For example, mmoja wao ni Shofco wenye wametusaidia tukiingia tukifanya kazi. For example, tukiingia Kibra na watu kao tuna work nao kwa zao wako na reach kwa community, wako nao wanawasaidia neno healthcare na maji, na tukikuja kuongea tunaweza ungana, na hata ndo tumeungana nao zaidi sana kwa mikaka yote kwa all the initiatives tulifanya during COVID. Pia tuko tu na volunteers na youth groups wengi wenye wanatusaidia kwa zile communities zenye tunawako, kwa sababu hapa kwa ofisi utapata tuko kidogo, lakini tuko na youth wengi wenye tumework nao before, wenye tumego through the mentorship sessions nao, wenye sasa wakiwa kwa ground kwa community au ndo wanaweza endelea naye kuendeleza hii message ya anti crime na commenter the youth, na juu ni watu wenye community wanajua na wana relate nao kila siku, wanaweza wasikiza na wanaendelea ku build your relationship. So tuko currently na like I think around Nairobi, Nakuru, kuendelea Rongai hivi tuko na around 15 youth groups wenye wameregister, wenye they work with us on the ground to just help us get the word out there. Yes, we have just many partners who come in to help us to be able to meet our goal of a crime-free society.
Then for that, I thank government so much. It has really helped us because I have a number of friends ambao tulijoin nao Kayole. Today, mandemu wengine, they are just saloonists. Wengine wameingilia hiyo mambo na mechanic, wengine wanafanya vitu mingi from whatever they choose. Wanafanya na I can say through that particular program, government has touched a lot of people. And I thank God it is also continuing, and I believe a number of youth will benefit from it. And another thing I can say, it is about this particular issue of kazi mtaani pia. This the new program ambayo imekuja as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. I thank God through that particular program tumeingia, we are just even now tunafanya na the same program. I can say government has done good thing because for instance where I'm doing ni Jiro is just far ahead as Kutoka junction. Ukipata there vijana, many of them they are in drugs, but at least this time we are meeting together and to get to work, unapata some are just reforming. Unaona, unasikia msaka kuambia mimi siku hizi hata drugs sitaki sana, ili nikuja hii kazi tufanye hii job kwanza, hiyo story nyingine baadaye. So in a way it is making them at least change, na ile ukora mingi unapata it is reducing, especially huko nchini unakuwa unapata watu wanachukua masimu nini na nini, but those particular vijana ndio walipata hiyo job, so they are mostly involved in other things like wanakuja job after that mzee anajua kuna kitu anangoja at the end of the 2 weeks, so at least they are get occupied na other things.
Kwa matembezi yetu venye tumeendelea kufanya our interventions na kuingia kwa hizi community, kitu moja yenye tumeona ni shida kuu, na ni shida la kwanza ni poverty. Unapata kuwa wako na umaskini, na kumbuka kuna wakati tulienda intervention huko Nakuru na tukakutana na vijana wale walikuwa wanatuambia mimi nikapata tu kazi itanipatia 150 kwa siku, ninaacha hii maisha ya crime. Yani kwa sababu anajua niko na familia, ninatoka nikirudi bibi na watoto wana expect nirudi na chakula, lakini sina kazi, sina pesa, sina hali ya kujimudu. Naona nikienda pale nje na nione mwenzangu pale ako na simu, naona hiyo simu nikichukua niende niuze pale nitapata pesa na jioni nitarudi nyumbani na chakula. So Kenya inafanya wengi wao waingie kwa crime ni hakuna kazi, yani umaskini, wanajaribu tu ku meet their daily needs. Hiyo ndio inawapeleka mostly into crime. Hiyo ndio imekuwa shida zaidi kwa vijana wengi wenye wako huko kwa mtaa.
The church needs to come and do one-on-one to be friends with the young people so that they can change. Most of them, currently I have young people who are not even willing to go to any church because in the previous days they have been hurt. One of them is my own brother. He believes in God, is really born again, but he has not stepped into a church. Reason being, in the previous times, is hurting because of how they were mistreated in churches, because of what they saw maybe the pastor do or this and that. They saw a lot of hypocrisy. Young people actually are fighting the church. That is the reality. They see a lot of hypocrisy because the church is not living what it's preaching. So that's one of the issues. There are many young people, I interact with them. They say, man, what you're telling me is very good and it's very true. I'm practicing it, but you people in the church are far from it. So I cannot come to church or I cannot do this and that. So the church can play a role. But generally, the message I can send to the young people is that when you are called, we do not just look at the person that is telling you this. We need to look at the caller. Because even I today can go back or can backslide. God forbid, that's not my move, and I will never go that direction. But even if today the pastor whom you are following goes the other direction, there is need that one stands and follows the Christ that they have been following, not the leader. When the leader slips away, you continue with the journey. For example, the children of Israel, when the 10 tribe leaders refused to move ahead, what happened? The young people said, okay, let's follow the likes of Caleb and Joshua. So they need to focus on Christ and not on the leaders. Because when we look at men, we will not move. Yeah, so the church can take its part. If the church wants to come on board, let's come full force. Not just a Sunday, come preach, come. The issue is not, I want you to church. The issue should be, I want to mentor your life. I want to walk with you, not just to see you on Sunday, but during the week, the things that you are doing, I need to be part of your life.
Najua mara nyingi tumeambiwa youth, nyinyi wa viongozi wa kesho, lakini ningependa kusema youth sisi ni viongozi wa sasa. Hiyo kesho tumekuwa tukiambiwa sana, mara nyingi imefika. Sisi ni viongozi wa sasa. Na tukiwa viongozi wa sasa, we can be the change that we want to be. So that tukiungana na tuweze kusema hii ndio direction tunataka maisha yetu is take, hii ndio direction tunataka tuone nchi yetu ikienda, tunaweza kuwa that change. So that ukiwa brothers keeper, ukiendelea, ukiona mwenzako ni kama haendi njia yenye anafaa kuwa akienda, wewe kama rafiki yake unaweza kuwa umuongeleshe na umpeleke the right way. Kama unaona ni usaidizi unaenda, unaweza ongea na wazazi, unaweza ongea na your mentors wenye wanaweza kusaidiana. Lakini youth, there's a lot of potential. We are leaders, and if we just take that initiative to be able to grow and see that we can be able to see that reformation and transformation that we want to see in this country.
So I'll say that parents need to get details and not to be harsh on them. In fact, if a parent can be a friend to your child, and once you are a friend to your child, the child can open up some things to you. So I think most of the things that have opened up to my dad comes as a result of we at least worked together. But when we are too harsh on them, they will not open up. So to parents, that's the message that I can give, that they give a fatherly advice to their children. Generally, let me maybe touch bases on the issues to do with the father's heart. What we are lacking in the society today is the fathers. We are lacking parenting today. That's the major problem that is eating our society. The fathers are not standing as fathers. They have stood just as providers of food on the table and maybe clothing. Unlike what is displayed in the scriptures, the fathers needs to come on board and train their sons in the ways of God. That's what the Bible tells us that the father should do, transfer culture to their sons. That I think is the biggest heritage that a father can give to their children, that is transfer culture to the sons, and not just culture, the godly culture to the sons. Walk with the children from their childhood. Begin explaining to them, show them the ways of God, and whenever they walk in the ways of God, they will never lose the mark. They will continue walking in those ways and learn the culture and transfer it to the generations that shall be proceeding. So I think parents should take up the task of training their children. Then coming to the youth and the young people, the first thing is that they need to understand that the life that they are living today, everyone needs to know that the youthful life is where we determine our life. That's what will determine what you end up becoming, because it's the time that we are having energy, it's the time that we are having, even the mind is sharp while we are youths. That's the time to build on yourself. So if they just work out on building themselves, personally I cannot say that I'm very far, but at least I'm moving in the right direction. I've tried to capture what I had lost in the previous days, and I'm walking the path. But if you have time, spend time with God, spend time building on yourself, and avoid groups. Just avoid groups, avoid companies, because they are not the best way to move. At most, be a friend of yourself. That's what I say. I tell them, be a friend of yourself, watch your moves, watch the way you are doing, you're living your life, and concentrate with your life, because your life is more important than the lives of the other people. So to the youth, let's use our energy positively. Let's arise and know it's true that we have failed in the past. The parents have failed, but we can still stand up and capture what God intends to do in the society. I received a call from a friend of mine. We had met in South Sudan, and he called me for a scholarship in Uganda. So I have studied there for the last 3 years. It's called the Apostolic School of the Word in Makerere, a place called Chikoni. So that's where I've been for the last 3 years. Then also by the help of my former pastor, my senior elder at Kayole, Pastor is now Bishop, he's called Bishop Peter Omwanda. He helped me to get back to class, and I have a bachelor in ministry. But I'm looking forward to, in the few years as the Lord provides, I intend to go back to school and do agribusiness management and trade.
So you can find us on, if you want to follow us, want to know what we are doing, unaweza tufuata kwa our social media pages. So kwa Facebook ni Crime Sipoa, Facebook and Instagram. Kwa Twitter ni Crime Sipoa Kenya. Unaweza pia interact na us through our website. Ukienda hapo utaona all our programs, the things that we do and stuff like that. Alafu pia you can, the programs and the things that we do. And also, kama unataka kuongea na mtu ama unataka usaidizi, unaweza to reach through our email info@crimesipoa.org. Ukitu email tu hapo ukisema kama ni shida yenye unaweza taka tukusaidie, unaweza to email on that platform. We'll be able to respond. If it's something that we can do personally, we'll be able to help. Kama ni kitu itahitaji to work with one of our partners, pia we can be able to guide you in that direction.
For him, I just pray that Mungu amwinue zaidi, because he has that heart ya kuona mwingine ameinuka. Despite who you are, he has that heart, that the fatherly heart. Anataka kila msee, vijana. He has been talking to very many of us. It's only vijana is somehow hand to change them, but those that wale wamemsikia, so I can say at least some have changed to some extent.